Hey y'all, welcome back to Homestead in the City. I'm Zach, and today we're going on a tour of my garden. All right, starting off up here at the patio pond, I moved my mushroom logs over by it. We've got one little shiitake here that was hanging on, harvested some from that, but we've been making repairs to the patio pond where we had those leaks. It's retaining more water now. I haven't put the fish back in yet, but we'll add those later in the spring. And that, if you remember when we moved in, was just a brick raised bed planter. And so we've turned that into one of several ponds that are not only a wildlife habitat, but also provide just some nice ambiance to our patio right here with the white noise. Now, I usually don't spend much time around the patio in my videos. Oh, there's our kitty Pluto. He's the newest member of our family. I don't know if y'all have met him yet. Say hey, Pluto. But you may know that's where we have our fire pit. We take the ashes and charcoal after it and put it in the compost that we'll see in a second. But more importantly, this is where we have friends and family over. The reason why we homestead is to build community. And so this is where we have them. What I wanted to point out today, though, was you can see the evidence of all the birds coming through. We have a ton of bird droppings here from where they all came through, nested in the trees or perched in the trees and pooped down. Now, that's not ideal for the patio, but it's great for the gardens, and that's why we have a ton of native trees around the edges of our gardens. And that's because the native birds will come through. They can eat, they can nest, they can perch, and one of the things in bird poop is phosphorus, which is a very important nutrient for compost for plants. And so birds will bring that in, drop free fertilizer into our gardens just from guys. Oh boy, these boys. So anyways, native trees means habitat for the birds and free fertilizer for the gardens. And moving on back the brick path, we've got our well pump. This is what I use to fill all the ponds around here and do watering, do water for the chickens. And across from the well pump, we are putting together a new tool shed from that old chicken coop that the chickens didn't use. Kara is actually working on this. It's in progress right now, but that's gonna be a cool place where we can keep tools and stuff right outside of our chicken run. All right, we're here in our chicken run, which is at the highest point of the yard. And that means that as the chickens poop and create compost, then gravity is gonna work with us to help wash all of those nutrients downhill into the gardens. Oh look, there's Pluto on top of the coop. So anyways, we have our nesting box up here. We've started getting eggs again this week, and this is their one of their feeding boxes, or their only feeding box. It's an old trash can, and so I can fill this with a ton of pellets for some supplemental feed. This will last for months. I've never filled it all the way. I'll fill it up to like there. And they like to eat there, and then they will sleep up in this tree. They don't use that coop that we spent money on and spent time fixing. So they'll sleep up in this tree and they'll poop straight down here. So I'll put old cardboard and stuff down here. This is where we'll throw the charcoal. Then as that builds up, we'll rake it into this compost pile. They'll over time tear that down, and then we'll just rake it up, and that's how we turn our compost over here. This is also where we just throw food scraps. And so with the food scraps, the compost, bugs and that, and all of the bugs and stuff that they get in the chunnel here, they really don't go through that supplemental feed very much at all. So Pluto, don't chase the chickens. Get out of here. So, hey ladies, it's okay. What you think? So, fun fact, something we're gonna try with our chickens. I read that chickens that have been exposed to cats will produce a hormone or protein that gets passed on to their eggs. I need to just like link to this in the comments or something. Essentially though, if a cat eats the egg from a chicken that has been exposed to cats, then the cat will either start producing a protein or stop producing a protein that triggers allergy responses in humans. So the theory is that if I give Pluto eggs from these chickens, my mom will not have an allergic reaction to them. So we'll see. So our second compost pile, it might be a little tough to see here. The chickens have kind of torn it down, but that pile is just where I rake everything in this area of the channel downhill to there. And so eventually we can just sift that out and use elsewhere in the garden. And outside of the chicken room, we've got our food forest area. Let's see, we've got our plum is just starting to bud out here. We do have a little bit of new growth on our loquat. A lot of the other stuff is still dormant for the winter. I will show you though, this is the outside of the chicken room. We have reinforced it with cherry laurel branches that we've coppiced or pollarded from some of these trees that are around. And of course, this is the wire fencing that keeps this hooligan out. Yeah, isn't that right, you hooligan? Yeah. And that brings us to our 7-row fruit orchard. Not gonna spend too much time in here today. Y'all have seen it before, it's in our other videos. But we have 7 rows of fruit trees that we are pruning to maximize the variety of trees that we get in here, not necessarily the number of fruit per tree. And this is one of my peach trees just starting to bud out. So hopefully that'll flower out and we will not have any more hard freezes. And this of course is all on our terrace system that is filled with wood chips. We've just got, you can see the original sandy soil and where we just piled up tons of organic matter over the last couple years. It's breaking down into awesome soil and absorbing all the flood water that used to come this way. Kind of tying things together back here is our fountain pond. This is the old 1950s fountain that we dug out, had to restore, patched it up, put a pump in it, and we've got fish in there, we've got plants in there, especially in the summer. I love to put plants around the side to get watered with that good fishy pond water. And then I'll take a bucket or a few buckets of that pond water and use it in my greenhouse here to fill my compost tea. So my compost tea, I kind of keep going all the time. I like to now fill that up with that pond water. I'll throw some things in here. I've got a bubbler going in it. I think there's actually a fish down in here too. And then I will use that on plants in the greenhouse. I'll use it out elsewhere in the garden. And then I've also got an outlet valve built onto this guy so that it can drain downhill and can be filled with this hose from that well pump that you saw earlier if I need to, which of course I can also use that hose to fill this pond. Then the rest of my greenhouse, we've got green onions in here. We've got lettuce, strawberries, I've got kale, I've got tons of greens. It's blocked right now by this Meyer lemon tree that I'll probably bring out later. I did bring in a heater this year. So I spent more in electricity costs, but was able to overwinter some of the things easier in here rather than having to bring them inside or move them around a lot. So, but yeah, we've got peppers overwintered. We've got, elderberry, Swiss chard, I've got garlic started in there, cilantro, tons of stuff. Moving downhill from the greenhouse, of course, there's Percy's original pond. That was the first big hole that he dug down here, and then we lined and turned into a pond. Down here, I've got our pawpaws that planted from seed, I think over 2 years ago now. Just buried a whole pawpaw down there, and we've had a couple seeds sprout up, and we're gonna see which one grows best. All right, so moving to our side yard, this is a new addition. I've just put in this gate. I still need to kind of fix up the sides. I put the Virginia creeper vine over that was on the broken wooden gate, but we'll see, might grow some other things in there. But that is just going to be our kind of moon gate entrance into the orchard now. And also we've been working on the side path, getting it cleaned up. I've got an olive tree planted here. We'll see how that does. My Meyer lemon that's up against the house, it did well through the freezes that we've had. We've had a little bit of damage, but I didn't even cover it at all. My key lime, once again, really died back, but I don't think it completely died. This happened last year, so I may dig that up and move it. We'll see. And then over here, I really pruned back my muscadine vine. So that was growing all over these walls. And so I pruned it back to just this guy, so it should put off a ton of new growth up here this year. And then coming into the front yard, we've got the fig tree in our memorial garden that is still dormant. Oh, I didn't point out in the greenhouse, we did have a fig leaf already on one of the cuttings that I took. But over here, we've got our raised beds. I put this arch in with just some spare fencing from that chicken run. You can see over here the garlic that I put in a couple months ago. It has sprouted, but also to grow up on this trellis, I planted some peas, some different types of peas and beans. And so we have had some freezes since then. I think it got most of the little seedlings, but you can see some that are hanging on. And so we're gonna try to trellis those over. And then this glass right here, I just have it over where I planted some other seeds that have not germinated yet to give them some protection, because that's what I did over here for the mustard greens in this box, and they did just fine. They are coming in strong, so I can come grab some of these for microgreens. I can let some go for bigger greens, and then eventually I'll probably cut that down, plant some other things in there. And so this, speaking of this bed, is on the edge of our yard. And this is one of the newest features. This is my big garlic hedge now. So this, we had a couple, some bushes and stuff in here, ended up trimming them down, covering them with wood chips. And then over here, made a dead hedge to protect this camellia tree right here that we really like, because it puts off some beautiful pink flowers. So anyways, this dead hedge will not only protect that tree, it'll also provide a habitat for pollinators and wildlife. It will allow some vining plants to grow along it. And then it's also acting as the retaining wall for these beds here. And so what I did was I soaked, here's one of those planes. So I took a bag of garlic cloves and soaked them up in the fountain pond to help get them hydrated and fertilized before planting them. And so I just put those all on these bed area in these 3 levels of the bed. And then I covered that with compost from the chicken run. And then I covered that compost with some hay. And so Pluto loves playing out here. Don't you, Pluto? But yeah, so I just used hay to mulch that. We have had some hay seeds germinating. I'm not too worried about that because this is mostly to start establishing this as a bed area. We did have this this garlic here, at least, that's popping up. Hoping to get a decent amount of garlic from here, but this is mostly to start establishing this as a new bed area. When I say it was built up with wood chips, I got those all from my mulch delivery driveway. This is our 16th load of wood chips from Chip Drop, and so you can see we really do use them everywhere. One of our biggest uses for wood chips has been this hugelkultur hill in the middle. Hugelkultur, y'all know what it is. If you don't, it's a German word. It is built with logs covered with compost and then planted on, and over time those logs and stuff break down and feed the soil. Anyways, ours was unintentional at first. We had these trees dumped in the middle of the yard with one of our chip chop deliveries, but over time decided to cover those with layers and layers and layers of wood chips. That has been broken down by the mushrooms that like to grow in here, and then we have started planting things on it, like this garlic. I think this is mostly more of that hayseed, but we've got garlic, elderberry, and a few other things on this hill. Eventually, when it completely breaks down, we'll probably grade it down and make this just a larger raised bed area. But for now, we are working and turning the challenge of a big pile of trees in our front yard into an opportunity of a cool hugelkultur project, Hugel Woodhill project. And alongside the driveway, we have our floodwater management beds. Those are the beds that we dug down to catch floodwater and then are planting out with things. I believe these are some sunflowers that are sprouting. I just like to, before a rainy day or a few rainy days, I'll come out, broadcast some seeds, and then let the rain water that in. And then these sprouted before we had some hard freezes, and so hopefully the ones that survive will be pretty hardy and adapted to this area, and we'll keep saving the seeds from that. And then so the berms for each of these kind of swale beds houses a different variety of peach tree. So we've got 4 in-ground beds, 4 berms, and 4 peach trees all alongside the driveway. Berry hedge, I ended up taking down that wattle fencing where I was growing a lot of vines. We're gonna put some fabric grow bags with some flowers in them, like this guy. Kara's gonna do that project later on in the spring. And then right up against the street, we have some of our other newest beds. I don't have much planted in them yet. I do have some of those mustard greens and some strawberries, but eventually another airplane. Anyways, eventually we're gonna add some more herbs and stuff that are good for cutting and throwing into recipes easily. We'll probably put like a little sign or here or something so that our neighbors that are passing by can take some and take it home. Oh, and right here, this is my live oak tree. It's only a few feet tall now, but the dream is for it to be taller than this guy one day, and provide shade and habitat and enjoyment on this street for generations to come. That's all we've got for today. See you in the next video.